and welcome to the show. We start this week's FailRace episode with Colton on Watch Dogs. Now, they are just messing around in the multiplayer. As you do, not really paying much attention. Running each other over, shooting each other, etc. Now, the FailRace Police Department do not particularly like this, and they're going to make an appearance. First of all, the player managed to get sort of shoved under a car in a funny way, but the police department are here to try something. No, that's not how you are supposed to physics at all. Car, how does that... how is that even working, and how does that happen? How does your car end up doing that? I don't know, but there we go. Beam Defender on Just Cause 3. Now note, they were stood next to a little red car. I don't know that's what they drove over here, where they found anyway. As they're grappling their way up, vehicle falls off the broken bridge and manages to land perfectly. You couldn't do that one better if you tried. I think they might have blown the bridge up at some point and were sat there watching it, etc. Either way, to have managed to get a vehicle to take out that spot perfectly at the second you chose to move, that is some good going. That K-Truck on Battlefield 5 with some, well, I say some spawn camping, unintentional sudden tank appears. It's all very, they were using a tank to try and assault the capture point. Sensible enough, I guess. When the game decides another tank should spawn in directly in front of you. Yeah. But they actually managed to get the kill and can carry on, which is quite good going, considering you definitely don't want a tank suddenly spawning on your face, that's for sure. USS Vagrant up next on Evil Dead. Now, on this, you can possess cars, apparently. I don't know much about this game, but you can possess a car, you can drive it around. Now, one of the people is knocked over, and I guess they're trying to make it difficult to recover them by parking the car on top of them. And okay, sure, I see the idea behind this. The thing is, when they unpossess or they leave the vehicle, it becomes more possessed than whenever they were part of it. That's not how it's supposed to work, but... yeah, that's just a very cursed car. Jewel Deagle up next on Wreckfest, battling towards the line, racing against a Raiden that, well, as they come up towards the final corner, the Raiden runs a little bit wide and decides to go for an exit stage up, essentially. Flips the barrier and is straight up into the air. Now, the car we was so busy watching the crash, forgot that it was a race, and was waiting to see the damage, and the Raiden is pretty, that's pretty totaled on that one. Ouch. Just a little clip on the barriers that did that one. Red Yoda up next on Flat Out 2 is bullying some AI cars. Does a fair old bit of damage. Goes to drive off, gets to jump a little bit wonky, tumbles, and gets eaten by a plane wing. I'm not quite sure. I mean, I think somebody manages to have their car wrecked in this crash as well. It's very peculiar. Either way, the truck is stuck and gradually kind of moving about, and over time the truck kind of gets free, but in a weird sort of a way. Yeah, it is essentially driving around. Camera doesn't show it very well, but it's driving around in the wing. I think that's a restart. At that point, it is just a restart. Skillpad on Dirt Rally 2 going for a more spectacular roll and continue than we normally see. Yeah, we're seeing plenty of sort of one rolls and continue. This is a beautifully executed double roll in an Opel Kadett. Carry on with barely any problem at all. Rotato up next on Dirt Rally with not a roll and continue. No, things go wrong for this M1. Lands a jump awkwardly, and it's an awful lot of rolls. It's trying to get the roll record, and it comes to a rest on its roof. I mean, yeah, the M1's probably not got the most compliant suspension for this kind of a stage. I mean, it went a little bit wrong through there, lost part of the front. Was it the bonnet that came off, the bumper that came off? But yeah, sadly the replay camera doesn't quite show it in all its glory. It's a huge number of rolls for the car. It hits the landing of one bump, twists it into the banking, and once it starts rolling, it's got such speed, it's such a fast stage that it is going to just keep going. It's sort of trapped between... Actually, it doesn't even really bounce off the grass banks. It's just it continues rolling along the road and comes to a rest on its roof. That's a big shunt. That is a very big shunt. We're on to Project Cars 2. 3 wide and Formula 1 cars doesn't normally go very well at Monaco. And sure enough, no, Project Cars physics has decided instead you shall go up and you shall go over. I mean... interlocking wheels, when it comes to open wheelers in this game, whatever type of open wheeler it is, can have problems. ensured. Again, it's another replay camera. Sadly, it doesn't quite show. You just see a Lotus falling from the sky. Yeah, there's just not quite enough room for everything. There's a little clip. It's a little bit more unusual to see both cars go over like this. Is very cinematic for the player car here when it's in slow-mo. The way it ends up rolling. Like the AI car's getting flicked off the wheels are kind of normal. The player car, though, is a little bit more. It kind of ends up twisting, going sideways, digging in and flipping. Which on the grass, sure. On the tarmac, a little bit weird, but there we have it. Volvo Brick Fat up next on Project Cars 2. He's going to be needing a change of underwear. Racing around the Nürburgring at night in the rain, goes for a spin and somehow keeps it out of the barrier, and nobody hits the car. It's amazing that everyone got away with this. But yeah, just a little too wide. Rear wheel on the grass, in the wet, runs out of grip, goes for a spin, manages to avoid the wall with the back and with the front and all the onrushing cars. Very, very lucky. As we see, just gracefully slides. You don't normally get away with that in Nürburgring, that's for sure. Calvin Toller up next on Assetto Corsa is driving a classic tiny Honda that gets itself in trouble. Bounces off a curb and gets stuck in a railing, and that is the end of that car. And finally, we have Typhon on Forza Motorsport 7. Racing at Indianapolis, and well, you can already sense this many wide into a corner is likely to cause trouble, and well, you would be correct. It is just too many cars into a corner, up the wall they go, big smack. I've got to say though, it looks like a surprisingly almost realistic, authentic style crash for Forza. No, often you get quite silly crashes on Forza, but that's actually quite an authentic looking kind of classic NASCAR crash into a wall. But yeah, 6 wide, Indy doesn't work. But there we go. That is going to be it for this video. As ever, if you have clips you'd like to submit to this series, you can via a Google form. There'll be a link to it in the description, and all the rules and how it works can be found on there. That, though, is going to be it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.